Let's be real. On any major construction project, things can and do go wrong. But what happens when something goes so wrong that it's completely out of anyone's control? Well, that's where a project's emergency plan comes in. And today, we're unpacking a huge part of that plan, Clause 18 of the FIDIC contracts, all about exceptional events. So we're going to be diving into the FIDIC 2017 contracts, which are, globally recognized as the gold standard. Think of these as the official rule book for massive projects all over the world. And Clause 18? That's the playbook for what to do when the game gets completely turned on its head. So picture this. A massive hurricane, totally out of the blue, floods your entire site. Everything just stops. The damage is piling up. The schedule is shot. What do? What happens now? And the big question, who pays for all this? The answer, believe it or not, is right there in your contract. All right, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll talk about what happens when disaster strikes. Then, we'll get super specific on what actually counts as an exceptional event. After that, we'll walk through the process, what you have to do, and then look at the consequences for time and cost. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with some key takeaways for all you engineers out there. So, first up, why is this clause such a big deal? Well, because without a clear, agreed-upon framework, a crazy event doesn't just delay a project. It can totally spiral into chaos. We're talking bitter disputes, endless legal battles, and honestly, massive financial losses for everybody. And that's where Clause 18 comes into play. It's not about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's all about providing a clear, predictable process. It's the procedure that both the employer and the contractor agree to follow, giving everyone a fair path forward when the truly unexpected happens. Okay, so here's the catch. You can't just declare an exceptional event for every little problem on site. The contract has a really specific four-part definition, and any event has to pass this test to even be considered. And here it is, straight from subclause 18.1. It has to be beyond your control, something you couldn't have reasonably seen coming, something you couldn't have avoided once it was happening, and, this is key, it can't be the other guy's fault. It's a pretty high bar to clear. So let's break that down into this simple four-part test. An event has to pass all four of these tests. You gotta ask, 1, was it really out of my hands? 2, could I have possibly predicted this when we signed the contract? 3, was there absolutely nothing I could do to stop it or work around it? And 4, are we sure the other party had nothing to do with causing it? Now, to make this a little less abstract, the contract actually gives us some examples. We're talking about the big stuff, right? War, terrorism, riots, massive strikes, and of course, natural catastrophes like earthquakes and hurricanes. But remember, even these things still have to pass that same four-part test to qualify. Okay, so let's say you're pretty sure you have a real exceptional event on your hands. Knowing the definition is one thing, but now you have to follow the process. This is the part that actually protects you and lays out your responsibilities. The number one absolutely critical first step is to give a formal notice. Subclause 18.2 is super clear about this. It doesn't matter if you're the contractor or the employer, if you're the affected party, you have to officially tell the other side what happened and what you can no longer do because of it. And here is the number that should be burned into your brain, 14. You have just 14 days from when you knew about the event, or frankly should have known about it, to get that formal notice out. Seriously, missing this deadline is a huge mistake in contract administration. It could completely sink your claim before you even get started. But wait, your job isn't done yet. You can't just send the notice and, kick back. Subclause 18.3 says you have a duty to mitigate. That means the affected party has to do everything they reasonably can to minimize the delay and the damage to the project. So you've spotted the event, you sent the notice on time, and you're working hard to mitigate the effects. Now for the big question. What do you actually get? This is where we get to the heart of it all, the consequences for your time and your money, all laid out in subclause 18.4. And this table here lays it out perfectly. You'll notice there's a huge difference in the remedies. For any qualifying exceptional event that causes a delay, you get an extension of time. That's a yes. But getting paid for your extra costs? Well, that's a maybe. That's only for a much shorter, specific list of events, usually things like war or riots that happen in the country of the project. So let's be super clear about this because it's probably the most important distinction to remember. That hurricane we talked about? It will almost certainly get you more time to finish the project. but it will not typically get you more money to cover your costs. Under this clause, natural disasters grant you time, not cash. The financial risk is shared. All right, let's pull all this legal speak back down to earth. What does this actually mean for you, the engineer or the project manager, who's actually on site dealing with this stuff in the real world? How do you put this into practice? Okay, here is your action plan. Number 1, know your contract. Is it the standard FIDIC 2017? Are there any sneaky amendments to Clause 18? 2, recognize the trigger. Train your team to spot a potential exceptional event as soon as it happens. 3, act immediately. That 14-day clock is no joke. 4, document everything. Your claim is only as strong as your records, photos, daily reports, costs, all of it. And number 5, communicate. Get that formal notice out correctly and keep talking to the other side. At the end of the day, Clause 18 is more than just words in a contract. It's a real test of how prepared and resilient your project is. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. When, not if, the unexpected happens, is your project's emergency plan actually ready?